There's a quiet truth no one wants to admit, not in public, not even in private. That in love, women don't fall across the ladder. They fall up it. It doesn't matter how kind a man is, how stable, or how much he loves her right. If she senses that he's beneath her in status, confidence, or potential, something deep inside her disconnects. It's not logic. It's instinct. You can see it in her eyes, that subtle loss of respect that turns affection into tolerance. It's not that she wants to climb. It's that she can't rest. See, evolution didn't design her for comfort. It designed her for survival. And survival meant aligning herself with strength. Not just physical strength, but social dominance, emotional control, and the ability to shape the environment. To be with a man who could change reality rather than be changed by it. So when people say, women love confidence, they're missing the deeper layer. It's not confidence she's drawn to. It's hierarchy. It's movement up the chain, that primal assurance that this man isn't static. That he's still rising, still capable of conquering something. The problem? In the modern world, everything that once defined masculine hierarchy, risk, competence, skill, dominance, has been blurred. We've built a culture where men are told to be safe, gentle, cooperative. And while those are noble traits, they come at a cost. They kill polarity. Because attraction isn't equality. It's gravity. And gravity only exists when there's a difference in elevation. So when you hear women say they want an equal partner, don't take it literally. They want equality of respect, yes, but they feel attraction toward a man they can look up to, not across at. That looking up is emotional oxygen to the feminine mind. If she ever starts looking down, the relationship dies slowly from the inside out. It begins quietly. She starts offering suggestions instead of admiration. She starts checking in instead of yearning. And when she speaks of you to her friends, she does it with the tone of a caretaker, not a lover. That's the moment most men don't notice. The shift from admiration to management. From lover to project. And once a woman starts managing a man, she's already halfway out. The truth no one wants to hear is that female loyalty isn't unconditional. It's hierarchical. It's deeply tied to perception, to where she feels her man stands in the invisible ladder of value. If he's ascending, she clings tighter. If he's stagnant, she starts scanning. That's not betrayal. That's biology. And men who don't understand that end up confusing comfort for security. They think love means safety, that once she says, "I'm yours," the competition is over. But for her, the competition never ends. Because deep down, she's not just choosing you, she's choosing the future she believes you can build. The feminine doesn't love what is. It loves what could be. And when could be turns into probably not, attraction begins to decay. Let's strip this down further. When a woman dates a man, she subconsciously measures one thing above all: trajectory. Is he moving upward? Does he command respect in his world? Does he have direction, purpose, momentum? She doesn't have to think about it, her nervous system does. Because to her, upward motion equals safety. A man with direction means stability in chaos. And that stability is what allows her to surrender, to feel safe enough to be soft, emotional, vulnerable. That's why the same man who once made her melt can suddenly bore her when he stops striving. It's not that she stopped loving him. It's that he stopped climbing. The modern tragedy is this. Men stop evolving once they feel loved. Women stop loving once the man stops evolving. That's the paradox. He finally feels safe enough to relax. And she finally feels uneasy enough to drift. He thinks he's earned her. She thinks she's lost him. Not to another woman, but to the quiet death of ambition. Because for her, the attraction isn't just emotional, it's existential. It's the magnetic pull towards someone who moves. Someone who embodies possibility. That's why women chase up the ladder. Not because they're shallow or greedy, but because deep down, safety and admiration are inseparable. A man who's above her, not in dominance, but in drive, gives her permission to rest in her feminine nature. A man who's below her forces her into her masculine side, planning, managing, leading. And once that polarity reverses, love turns to duty. You can see it in every unhappy relationship where the man says, I don't understand what happened. What happened is simple. She kept climbing internally and he stopped. The truth is brutal but clean. Women don't chase up because they want more. They chase up because they can't survive down. Her biology is ancient. Her instincts are ruthless. They're not modern. They don't care about equality, fairness, or kindness. They only care about security, and security is tied to perception of strength. So if a man wants to keep her love, he must keep climbing. Not to impress her, but to stay alive in her eyes. Because once she looks down instead of up, love turns into sympathy. And no woman wants to kiss a man she pities. Here's the quiet paradox of human desire. The very things that make love feel safe are the same things that make it die. Routine, predictability, comfort, they create stability, yes. But they also flatten the mystery, the tension, the subtle hierarchy that fuels attraction. See, a woman doesn't consciously wake up one morning thinking, I want a man who's higher on the ladder than me. It's more like a gravitational pull, an emotional law written long before language existed. She doesn't need him to be richer, stronger, or smarter in a literal sense. She needs to feel that being with him pulls her upward. Because love, for her, is not about merging into sameness. It's about becoming more through him. And the moment she senses that being with him means becoming less, her affection starts to evaporate. You can't measure that with words or logic. It's something primal, a shift in energy, in how her nervous system calibrates to his. Take an ordinary couple, Daniel and Leah. When they first met, Daniel was unpredictable, ambitious. He had plans that reached beyond his small city job. He wasn't rich, but he had direction, and that direction intoxicated her. He'd talk about the future with conviction. He had that spark, not arrogance, but certainty. And when he touched her, she felt something ancient, that he could lead her somewhere even if she didn't know where yet. Fast forward 5 years. Daniel has the same job, the same habits, the same stories. He's comfortable now, too comfortable. He still loves her, still brings her flowers, still says the right things. But the light in his eyes? It's dimmer. The sense of danger, of movement, of potential, and Leah feels it. Not as anger at first. More like a subtle grief. She tries to encourage him. Why don't you take that course you mentioned? You used to talk about starting your own thing. But he doesn't move. He says, we're doing fine. Why risk it? That's the moment her attraction starts to shift. She begins to look outward, not for another man, but for a sense of motion. She starts hanging out with new people, doing new things. And maybe, just maybe, she meets someone who talks the way Daniel used to talk. Someone who reminds her of the version of him that once made her feel alive. Now Daniel notices her distance and becomes afraid. He compensates, flowers, texts, more affection, but it only makes her colder. Because she doesn't want more of him. She wants more from him. And that's a difference most men never understand. Another story, quiet, subtle, but just as real. Julia and Mark. She's a driven woman, sharp, ambitious. When they met, he admired her energy, her fire. But over time, something strange happened. Mark began to shrink around her. Not physically, but psychologically. Every time she achieved something new, a promotion, a raise, recognition, he congratulated her with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Because deep down, he felt her pulling ahead. And instead of rising with her, he retreated. He told himself he was being supportive, that he didn't want to compete. But to her, it felt like abandonment. Not emotional abandonment, energetic abandonment. She no longer felt that upward pull from him. And though she never said it, part of her began to crave someone whose presence made her feel smaller again, not in worth, but in awe. Because that's the paradox of polarity. The feminine wants to look up without feeling beneath. And the masculine wants to be admired without domination. When that dynamic breaks, attraction dies, no matter how much love remains. Women chasing up the ladder isn't a statement of arrogance, it's a confession of nature. Even the most independent woman still wants to feel that her man can lead her somewhere higher, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. That he can show her something she can't see alone. When she stops feeling that, she begins to lead herself. And when she does, he becomes unnecessary to her evolution. That's why you'll see so many relationships where a woman says, "I just outgrew him." It's rarely about cheating or cruelty. It's about stagnation. Her growth became vertical. His became circular. And though they may love each other deeply, love without admiration is just friendship with history. Here's the tragedy. Men often mistake her upward gaze for greed. They call it hypergamy, the idea that women always want better. But that word oversimplifies something sacred. It's not better she wants. It's direction. It's not status, it's momentum. She's not comparing bank accounts, she's reading vibration. She's scanning for signals of life, courage, hunger. Because when she senses hunger in a man, that restless desire to become more, she feels safe enough to surrender. And when that hunger disappears, she hardens. Not because she wants to, but because she has to. Watch any woman slowly detach, and you'll notice the same sequence. She starts off nurturing, encouraging. Then she begins to overfunction, managing his time, fixing his habits, trying to inspire him back into motion. But what she's really doing is mourning his lost direction. Every suggestion she makes is a quiet prayer. Please be the man I can look up to again. And when he doesn't rise, she stops speaking. Then she stops touching. Then she stops seeing him at all. By the time she leaves, it's not out of anger. It's out of quiet despair. Because for her, leaving isn't betrayal, it's survival. She can't breathe where there's no movement. She can't love where there's no elevation. So she climbs. And men call her disloyal. But in truth, she's just obeying the deeper law of nature, the one that says love must move upward or it dies. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. Because the man who understands this doesn't chase equality, he chases excellence. Not for her, but for himself. Because he knows that by climbing his own ladder, of purpose, of mastery, of meaning, he gives her something no words ever could, the safety of looking up. And when a woman looks up at a man she truly respects, something in her soul settles. She no longer needs to climb, because through him she already has. There's a moment in every relationship when the air changes. Not with words. Not with a fight. Just a look. A silence. A shift in gravity. That's when a woman stops feeling pulled upward. And it's subtle, painfully subtle. You might still laugh together, sleep together, plan vacations together. But underneath, something ancient inside her starts whispering, this man isn't it anymore. Not because he failed her. Because he stopped growing. I once spoke with a woman, 36, married, 2 children. Let's call her Anna. She wasn't bitter, she wasn't cold. She was just detached. Her husband, Evan, was what everyone called a good man. Reliable, loyal, faithful. He never cheated, never yelled, never made her feel unsafe. But one night as she sat across from him at dinner, watching him scroll through his phone, she said something that shattered him. I still love you, she whispered, but I don't look up to you anymore. He laughed, thinking it was a joke. But she didn't. Because to her, that wasn't cruelty, it was confession. She had seen the best in him once. The dreamer, the risk-taker, the man who spoke of building something greater. But over the years, she watched him trade all that for comfort. For predictability. For safety. He thought he was protecting her by settling. She thought he was abandoning her by doing the same. Because to the feminine psyche, a man without danger is a man without depth. He becomes flat, emotionally two-dimensional. And when that happens, her desire doesn't just fade, it implodes inward, collapsing under the weight of familiarity. Evan didn't understand. He said, you have everything. A house, kids, security. What more could you want? She said, I wanted you. Not the version of you who hides behind what's safe. That's the tragedy. He worked to keep her safe, when what she needed was to keep feeling elevated. It's not that she wanted him to earn more or become famous. She wanted to feel him ascend. To see him hunger again. To see that spark in his eyes, that quiet defiance that once made her believe he could conquer anything. And when that spark died, something inside her followed. She didn't want to leave him. But every time she looked at him, she didn't see a man anymore. She saw a routine. And no woman can stay in love with a routine. Men often think women leave because they found someone else. But most of the time, they leave long before anyone touches them. They leave emotionally, slowly, quietly, invisibly. They start turning toward new experiences, new conversations, new energy. Because when the man she's with no longer pulls her upward, she starts reaching for something that will. It might be art. It might be a cause. It might be another person. But it's always something that gives her that feeling of ascent. Another story. Michael and Iris. They met in their 20s, both dreamers, both hungry. They built a business together. Late nights, cheap wine, the thrill of uncertainty. They were in sync. She looked at him like he was a god, not because of what he had, but because of how he moved through the world. 10 years later, they made it. Success, money, recognition. But Michael started to slow down. He wanted to enjoy life now. He thought he'd earned the right to rest. Iris didn't rest. She still wanted to grow, to create, to climb. And soon, every conversation became friction. He called her restless. She called him complacent. The truth was simpler. He was done climbing. She wasn't. And so she began to feel something she couldn't articulate, not anger, not disappointment, but loss of polarity. That invisible current that once made her feel alive around him was gone. She didn't want a bigger house. She wanted a bigger him. There's something almost cruel about this truth. Because men are told all their lives that women want stability. But stability without evolution feels like decay to her. The same walls that keep her safe can become the walls that suffocate her. So she tests him. Not consciously but instinctively. She pokes, provokes, criticizes, not because she hates him, but because she's trying to wake him. She wants to feel his strength again, to see that he can push back, that he's still in the game. But most men don't see that. They retreat further, mistaking her test for rejection. They think she's never satisfied. But in reality, she's begging him, show me you're still climbing. There's a story in every woman's eyes, a silent timeline of admiration rising and falling. In the beginning, she looks up to him. Then she looks at him. And finally, she looks through him. When she reaches that last stage, no amount of love can reverse it, only growth can. Because attraction isn't about sameness, it's about polarity. And polarity lives or dies based on movement. A woman doesn't crave a perfect man. She craves a man in motion. Someone who keeps reaching higher, not just in work or wealth, but in awareness, discipline, presence. Because each level he climbs, she feels herself rise with him. That's the hidden bond between masculine and feminine energy. He expands through challenge. She expands through trust. And both die when stagnation sets in. That's why chasing up the ladder isn't about gold digging, it's about survival of the spirit. It's a longing to stay alive, to keep orbiting around something stronger, more awake, more alive than comfort. Because a woman in love doesn't want peace. She wants pulse. Not chaos, but movement. Not drama, but depth. And if she can't find it in her man, she'll search for it elsewhere, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Love dies when it stops ascending. And when a woman stops chasing upward, it's only because she's already reached the top of what he can offer, and she's still hungry. That hunger isn't greed. It's her soul's way of saying, there's more life above this. That's the truth no one teaches men. If you want her to stay, don't hold her. Rise, and she'll follow. Because in her heart, love isn't a nest. It's a ladder. And she'll keep climbing until she feels heaven again. At some point, when the noise fades and the screen goes dark, there's a quiet that feels heavier than loneliness. It's the sound of emptiness, not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from realizing you've been surrounded by people who never truly saw you. We have mistaken availability for intimacy, responsiveness for care, attention for love. And that confusion has created an entire generation that craves connection but fears it more than anything else. The nanoship was never meant to replace love. It was meant to protect people from its consequences. But protection has a cost. It numbs the very nerve endings that allow us to feel alive. You can't protect yourself from heartbreak without also protecting yourself from love itself. So here we are, a world of people orbiting each other, terrified of collision. Everyone watching, no one touching. Everyone communicating, no one connecting. Love has become a spectator sport. We don't fall anymore, we observe. We don't express, we perform. We curate our vulnerability so it looks beautiful on screen, digestible to the crowd. We've forgotten that the essence of love is exposure, to be known, fully and without disguise. But the nanoship doesn't allow for that. It's too small, too sterile. It can't hold the weight of truth. It's designed for fragments, glimpses, moments, simulations. And the tragedy is that both men and women are exhausted by it. He's tired of chasing ghosts. She's tired of pretending she's fine. They both want the same thing, to be understood, but they're speaking different emotional languages. His is hope, hers is fear. He waits for a sign, she hides behind silence. And when they finally meet, they don't touch souls, they trade defense mechanisms. We've reached a point where detachment is celebrated as strength and vulnerability is treated like weakness. But what no one tells you is that emotional detachment doesn't make you strong, it makes you hollow. Strength isn't the absence of feeling. It's the ability to feel deeply without running from it. But no one practices that anymore. We practice control. We practice restraint. We practice pretending not to care, hoping that one day it'll stop hurting. But the irony is, it only hurts because we still care. The nanoship has created an illusion of progress, that we've evolved beyond dependence, beyond heartbreak, beyond the messiness of love. But evolution without emotion isn't progress. It's decay. We've traded pain for numbness, risk for safety, connection for control. And in doing so, we've stripped love of its soul. Because love, in its rawest form, was never efficient. It was chaotic, unpredictable. It was two people risking everything they had for something that might destroy them. And that destruction, that vulnerability, was the beauty. But now, everyone wants the reward without the risk, the warmth without the fire, the intimacy without the surrender. You can't have it. You can't half-love someone and expect to feel whole. Somewhere deep down, every woman who builds a nanoship knows this. She knows the thrill of control fades quickly, that no amount of attention can fill the absence of genuine care. And every man who chases her knows that hope turns to resentment when he realizes he's been loving a ghost, a version of her that never truly existed. We are all complicit in this illusion. Every time we choose the easy over the meaningful, every time we replace presence with performance, every time we call emptiness freedom. But freedom without connection isn't liberation, it's exile. We've exiled ourselves from the very thing that gives life its texture. The laughter that comes from safety, the tears that come from being known, the stillness that comes from being understood. These things can't exist in a nanoship. They require depth, and depth requires surrender. Love demands risk. It always has. And the people who try to outsmart that truth will end up living clever, empty lives, safe but unloved. We were not designed for efficiency. We were designed for intimacy, for the slow unfolding of another soul, for the quiet safety of trust, for the simple human warmth of belonging. But that warmth is dying in the modern cold. Because no one wants to admit how lonely we've become, how terrified we are of being replaced, how desperately we're trying to feel seen while pretending we don't need to be. And yet, the truth remains. You can't play with hearts and expect to stay whole. You can't build a fortress and still expect to be touched. You can't keep everyone at arm's length and still complain that no one reaches for you. There's a moment coming, for all of us, when we'll have to choose. Comfort or connection. Control or love. Safety or surrender. Because you can't have both. And when that moment comes, it will feel terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff. But what you'll find on the other side of that fear is freedom of a different kind. Not the freedom of isolation, the freedom of truth. To look at someone and say, here I am, unfiltered, unprotected, unequal, human. And to have them stay, not because you managed the risk, but because you shared it. That's real intimacy. That's real power. Not control, not attention, connection. Everything else is noise. So the next time you find yourself in another almost relationship, another digital half-love, another fleeting connection that feels both intoxicating and empty, remember this. Nanoships were never about love. They were about fear. And fear may protect you for a while, but love is the only thing that can save you. Because in the end, when everything fades, the messages, the photos, the attention, the performance, all that will matter is whether you ever let yourself truly be known. That's the real rebellion in this world of surfaces. Not to control, but to connect. Not to appear strong, but to love anyway. And maybe that's the only cure left for this emotional wasteland. To look at another soul and whisper the simplest, most dangerous truth. I'm still capable of love.